we was going out, 2-3 times a week when we was dating, you know. But that's because I didn't have to pay none of your other bills, right? And you didn't have to deal with any of my other bills, any of my other bills either. There's another thing that can cause the disappointment in terms of having expectations that are unmet. And another thing is the money.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's right.
We was going out, 2-3 times a week when we was dating, but that's because I didn't have to pay none of your other bills, right? And you didn't have to deal with any of my other bills, any of my other bills either. We think that it's going to be an endless income stream. That the money is never going to back up. The money is never going to stop. The money is never going to witness any kind of speed bumps. Mm-hmm. And these things, because I thought we were going to take three vacations a year, and all of a sudden we can't now because you got this bill and I got that bill and kids keep on coming in and life just does what it does. And these kinds of things can really help to frustrate couples in a marriage if the communication isn't there and the expectations aren't actually in alignment with real life.
Can I say something too? If we can just be real for a minute about this situation.
I thought we was being real.
I know, but I mean in terms of real about things that happen that are usually unspoken about. The woman code or the man code, where somebody outside of the relationship tells you how to deal with your wife or tells you how to deal with your husband, mm-hmm. where there's this silent network of advice being passed down. And Sydney spoke about it, Mr. Sydney spoke about it in terms of the culture and things you adopt from your childhood. Well, mm-hmm. Mama always controlled daddy, or mama always controlled the men that she were with. And so that stigmatism or that mentality is automatically laid over like a template without any fully understanding that it's about relationship, it's about growth. You can't use old patterns that you've seen, observed, not work. Instead, you still want to adopt them into your marriage because it was something that was passed on to you. And so what I'm saying is we've got to have that communication and relationship with the person that we're married to and stop using these templates from people who have not necessarily had successful marriages, but yet they point into our minds of what we should do to fix or to maintain our marriages.
Yeah, I'm in agreement, Minister Thurman.
I'm in agreement too, but you know what you do in those cases? You make truth your standard. Come on. You make truth your standard, and you also make sure that you gain awareness of your own expectations. So once you gain awareness of that, then you release it. And by doing that, then you're more likely to share those things, your expectations, with your spouse, with your significant other. In this case, I'll be saying your spouse. So once you gain your own expectations, once you're able to release that, then you're more likely, as I just mentioned, to be able to share in that. Not only sharing that, but you're also able to be receptive to your spouse's expectation that you guys may have as well. Mm-hmm. The truth should be the standard within it all.
Yeah, and something that kind of sparked something in my mind there for a moment, because we're talking about our expectations or that other person's, our expectations of our spouses or our spouse's expectations of us, right? But one of the things that we that happen as well is we have what we expect from our spouses, but we also have an expectation of what we think our spouses want from us. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes it's that level of expectation can lead to frustration as well. Because I think I'm giving you what you want. And because I think I'm giving you what you want, even though it's not what you want or what you need or whatever the case may be, now you're turning around, but you're not giving me what I want. You're giving me what you think I want.
Right.
You know, and that dynamic lends itself to so much frustration in the relationship as well, because once again, this goes back to the condition of the mind reader. You know, I'm giving you the same thing that I gave my previous boyfriends. Because a level of expectation was built up that this is what men like. I'm giving you what I gave my previous girlfriends because a level of expectation had been built up. Never mind the fact that doesn't work for you individually. I'm sorry, Mr. Zena, you was going to say something a second ago.
No, you make a good point. So what we should be doing in those situations, we should be getting objectivity.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we should be seeking for. We want to be objective on both ends. By doing that, that opens up this not Pandora's box, but it makes each of us vulnerable. Mm-hmm. We become objective to each other, and sometimes it's going to be critical. Mm-hmm. But we need to be able to understand that critical objectivity is gonna grow us, so we don't have any unmet expectations. So guess what? No, we're not taking 3 vacations this year. We know that. Guess what? We are downsized. We're not getting a bigger house on the other side of the tracks.
No,
we're not getting another car. So we understand those things because we allowed ourselves to be objective and to be able to hear each other.
Yeah.
I just listen, but I heard you. I get it.
I think we have to also remember that we're one. Right? And in knowing that we're one, what does the Bible say? That a man doesn't hate his own body, right?
Sure.
And so in terms of, we've got to understand that, wait a minute, if I don't like people telling me what I like, then don't return the same practice of telling that person what they like, or don't grow so stale with having an expectation based on what they have done in the past that you're not getting to know who they are today. That's right. I think that comes from communication, that comes from time away, that doesn't involve movies or doesn't involve some other theatrics. Sometimes you just need that one-on-one time, a walk in the park or walk or doing whatever, or something where you can actually focus on one another. And my wife and I, we write down these lists every so often. We write down these lists. What are the 10 things, if you could change anything about our life, our relationship, or whatever, what would you do? Right. And so we do this maybe once a year, every other year, whatever. And the list gets shorter and shorter. But at the same time, I've always been willing to, if this is a problem for you, then it's a concern for me. Right. Sure. As long as it's obviously biblically sound. And not the expectations that are unrealistic, right? And so it's like, you got to dwell with your mate according to knowledge, right? The Bible tells us that. And I think you don't get that knowledge unless you're studying them.
Sure. Absolutely. So I think that obviously begs the question then, as we're talking about this whole notion of unmet expectations. I think part of the process of dealing with the frustration, right, of unmet expectations is first identifying what expectations are unmet, and then there are, obviously a couple of sub-level questions to be asked about that. For example, what are my expectations for my partner? What are my expectations for myself? Right? Because oftentimes we go into these situations, we've got expectations of them, but what do you expect from you? Husband and wife, and then of course, what are the expectations? What are the desired results for this marital relationship? Where are we going? Do we have a destination in mind, or is it just all about feeling? Whatever it could be, whatever it is. I'm not castigating either idea, but whatever it is, we need to sit down and actually ask the question, and then seek out an answer to the question.
This is all really good foundational stuff, guys, in terms of what could bring more of a realistic picture or realistic communication system to a marriage. But then I'd like to shift us into being more pragmatic about what are some of the things that we can do to avoid these gaps, right? Besides, communication obviously is key, right? But in terms of how do we foster a relationship that that identifies the brokenness early on, And it's a process that allows us to continue to reevaluate where we are, because life happens. Individual sickness could drive a person to depression that you won't even know, and you're with them every single day, right? And so how do we set up a checkpoint, not a check the box, but a checkpoint to say, how are you? Who are you? So what would you guys recommend?
A couple of things. I think one thing you want to do is release your expectations. I think that's really big. The next thing I think you also want to do is also observe other healthy marriages. There's nothing wrong with observing other healthy marriage, and also make sure that you're talking to each other. That is so huge, because if you're not talking to each other, rest assured the devil is talking to both of you.
I like that.
So make sure that you're communicating and that you're talking. There's nothing like getting that one-on-one. Mr. I like what you said, that we're talking, and that talking sometimes can be in the absence of chaos, in the absence of noise. So that may mean ain't no Netflix and chill. It's just us having dinner, and it's just you and I. There's no, yes, thank you, Pastor. In a conversation, just us. It's no movie. It's just us talking, getting to know each other, getting to find out where we stand. That's so important to me. So that's some of the things that I think that you can do, as well as also, I can't get out without saying this, also praying together.
Yes.
Not separately, praying together.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I want to dig in on that communication a little bit more, because I think that there are some other levels to that we can begin to get into in terms of questions to ask or things to kind of look for, right, in the conversation. One of the questions to be asked as we're talking about communication is how are your expectations not being met?
Very good.
Okay. Let's go to a measurable. How would you know when your expectations are being met? Right? Has your spouse, your significant other, has your spouse met those expectations in the past? What were the circumstances of life at that time?
Demonstrated. Yeah.
Okay. What are the situations? So, and you have to be specific in those kinds of conversations, right? Then there's another thing, another element of the communication that I think is really important. Why is it important to you to have that expectation fulfilled? Husband or wife? Why is this particular thing so important? What this does is this causes us as individuals to think beneath, to go a little bit further than the surface. Right. And it causes us to have to think a little bit more deeply, not only about what the person is or is not doing, but also why we actually need it to be done. So, hey guys, it's Pastor John here. Please, if you like this video that you just saw, hit that like button for us. Second thing I want to ask you to do is to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We're putting out videos once a day at about 5:30 p.m. Hit that bell notification so that you'll know when a new video has been uploaded. And then the final thing to do, share this video, share this information. If you know somebody that has a need that it can be benefited by it, please put it out in circulation so that we can try to help as many people as possible. Thanks, and God bless.